The next morning, we finished our deals with Keeper. The only charity he gave was in the bedroom, but he seemed to be cutting Glory a little slack. I had a decent drum-fed shotgun. She had her Gatling beam gun, ammo, chems, some purple healing potions for any superficial wounds we received over the next few days. A tip I bought from Little Bit that Lacuna might be able to recharge them if she had a healing spell. Useful. Definitely useful. Glory was finalizing things when I spotted something in the corner. The sight of it made my heart beat a little faster as I stared at the black case. "Add this too," I said as I picked it up with my magic. Keeper looked curious, Glory skeptical. "Where'd you get this?" I asked softly as I turned it over. "A ghoul who said he picked it up at a Stable Tech HQ, all the way down in Philadelphia. I figured it had to be worth something, but in 20 years I'd never found some pony interested in it. Never could get the damn thing to open either," he said. "100 craps and good riddance." Glory looked at me and paid the pittance. From the weight, it was clear there was another silver bullet inside. I opened it slowly, licking my lips. Instantly, my pip-buck started clicking from the radiation coming off the shell. As with the others, there was a piece of paper folded on the bullet. I pulled it free and then closed the shielded case. "Sorry, sis. Definitely not my field. I heard Twilight sent hers to Horizon Labs to be cut open. Maybe they know what these things are? Hope things are better soon. P.S. You have any idea what's eating Scoots? She's been acting funnier than usual. Applebloom." "Interesting. So what kind of gun does a bullet like that go to?" he asked as he tucked it away. "A big one," I replied, sticking my tongue out at him. The last thing he needed to know was about a megaspell gun, though I had to wonder just how many caps that fully operational folly would be worth. After that, Keeper and his caravan started picking up. I walked up to the old buck. "Thanks for all your help, Keeper." He chuckled. "If you really want to thank me, I think I could spare a bit of time," he said with a roguish wink that made me blush. He was old enough to be still really good to look at. "Otherwise, don't worry about it. Your mare paid everything up nice and square." Glory smiled, nodded, and put her wing across my back positively. "I was just wondering, though. The Reapers and the Rangers. Who do you think I should back?" His smile disappeared at once, and he sighed. "Neither." "But," I began, but he shook his head firmly. "Those two are working off 30 years of hate. You're not going to be able to convince them to stop fighting. It's foolish to even try. Best stay clear of the whole mess," he said flatly as he sat, crossed his forelegs over his chest. "That's how I always made my way. Don't take sides." "I can't," I replied, shaking my head. "Well then, I'd keep your barden pole down over that pip-buck of yours," he said grimly. "I know Steel Rangers who think it's their Celestia-given mission to take that thing off your leg and put it in some damn shrine or something. Crunchy Carrots might be smart enough to not try and take it, but I can't say the same for the rest of them." After that, the caravan moved off to the northwest, heading towards Toll. The early morning was punctuated by gunshots, faint explosions, and the reek of chloride and rocket fuel. Scotch's pip-buck tag was just south of us, but I wasn't quite up to walking around the wasteland just yet. That meant sitting around in the firehouse, waiting. Well, at least I did have some other things to do. I munched a box of Carrot Crunch and flipped through my pip-buck to the Steel Pony file. So, how am I supposed to open this with EC-1101? Glory moved next to me, snuggling beside me as she looked at the screen. Then she frowned. "You don't have to. It's decrypted." "It's what?" I stared at the file. "Well, when the heck did that happen?" I shrugged, feeling actually a bit uneasy. "So, you're saying I don't have to go meet some pony on the other side of the city struggle with some horrible internal dilemma, or pay a ridiculous price? Anything being this easy in the wasteland was just wrong. I half expected my pip-buck to explode or something. You sound disappointed, she said with a smile. I'm getting crotchety and cynical in my old age. Give me a year and I'll be almost as grouchy as P-21, I said as I flipped through some notes at random. I'd love to see that, she said softly as she kissed my cheek. Me too. Now, I just have to trot it all the way back to the college it, I groaned. I'll probably wipe out 2 settlements, save a baby, destroy a dam, have a mind-blowing revelation, and have my hoof fall off before we get there. What do you think? I think you might just be able to broadcast it. She tapped the black casing. This is a broadcaster, right? I sorta don't know how, I murmured, my ears burning. Off to the side, I spotted the dealer. Was it just me, or did he look a little less decrepit? Of course it was just me. He was my crazy, after all. He just shook his head, the cards shuffling in his hooves. She smiled and shook her head. I know the basics. First we go to the broadcaster menu. Then we need a network. I stared as a short list appeared, and even she seemed a little shocked. Well, Hoofington Civilian Grid, Hoofington Defense Grid, Stable Tech Information Network, MOM Spritebot Network, MAS Emergency Broadcast System. Use the MAS EBS, I said. If it was good enough for Homage, it was good enough for me. Besides, the thought of sending anything that might summon a cyber monster thing made me leery. She selected it. There was a flash in my vision, scrolling data ending with access granted. My pip-buck chirped, and Glory gave a slightly astonished smile. Wow, it looks like we can now contact the entire MAS EBS network. From the number of nodes available or unavailable on the list that was scrolling up the screen, that wasn't as much as it could have been. Glory definitely selected an option marked Contacted Nodes. I was surprised at the length of the new list that appeared. It was longer than I'd anticipated. Most of them were mind-boggling streams of numbers and letters, but a few stood out. Stable 89, Miramare Air Station, Rainbow Dash Skyport Terminal, Chapel Post Office, Hoofington Planetarium. Node name unavailable, stood out as being neither a recognizable name nor a line of gobbledygook. So I can contact any of these. It looks like it. I selected the planetarium, and Glory nodded. Now hit connect. I did, and there was a loud beep. Then another. Again. Is it supposed to be doing that? Ask some pony intelligence. I've just read books on these things, she replied. Suddenly there was a crackle, and a synthetic mare's voice said, Blackjack, how are you contacting me on the MASBS? Ask a smarter pony than me, Professor. I got Steel Pony, I said with a smile. I'm going to try and send it to you. Thank you, Blackjack. The synthetic voice seemed quite speechless. Don't thank me. I have no idea if this will work, I replied. I selected Send File. I looked through the list until I found steelpony.acv. I selected it and confirmed. My EFS filled my vision with even more streaming numbers, and then it stopped. To my alarm, Steelpony ACV was no longer in my pip-buck's memory. Professor? Thank you so much, Blackjack, she said quietly. I have it. I have everything. I checked to make sure that I hadn't sent EC1101 too. Fortunately, or unfortunately, that was still in my pip-buck. Professor? Glory said. Now that you have it, are you sure there's nothing you can do for Blackjack? She bit her lip as she looked at me. There was a long pause. I'm sorry, Glory, she replied. If I had a fully fabrication facility and staff, then yes. We could start making things Blackjack needs in a few hours and begin installing them tomorrow. But right now, all I have are assorted pieces collected from across the wasteland. I've even purchased Ace's remains, but... Don't worry about it, Professor. Just do something good. All right? I asked softly. Absolutely, Blackjack, she replied, and then with a click, the connection was broken. Funny. I felt good. I might be dead in months, weeks, or even hours, but at least I would be able to say that I'd done something substantial, something that would really matter. I checked Scotch Tape's tag. She was just a half block away. Come on, let's go meet our friends. You know, I'm pretty sure at this point where something's going to go terribly wrong, murmured the dealer, and I stopped in my tracks. And that's it. I whirled on him and narrowed my eye. I'm sick of you and your snotty attitude, mister. I'm happy. My friends are safe. Everything's going sunshine and rainbows right now, so I do not want to hear it. If you can't say something nice, then just go get back in my head with all the rest of my doubts, because I don't want to hear it. Okay, Glory looked like she wasn't sure if she should be confused or amused, but the look of shock on the dealer's face had been worth every single word. My braces chafed, my insides hurt, and I was about to deal with ponies who had some kind of weird technological fetish. But I still felt good. I gave a smile to Glory, who'd mounted the very formidable-looking Gatling beam weapon she'd purchased on her barding. For once, life was good, and things were going my way. I turned slowly to face the cracked road and collection of blue bars approaching the crossroads. A lot more than just 3 blue bars. Lacuna stepped around a smashed wagon, her magnificent frame chained and bound. A very familiar collar rested on her throat. The sight of it gave me a serious sensation of my blood both boiling and freezing at the same time. Beside her trot P-21 and Scotch Tape, equally bound, though at least the filly wasn't collared. A half-dozen steel rangers surrounded them. At their lead was the biggest suit of armor I'd seen. It looked as if it had been custom-built to contain the size of a pony within. Its matte black frame was gilded in golden leaf, and all 4 hooves ended in glittering hydraulic rams. The enormous ranger looked down at me and said in a deep voice, "Step aside. We are escorting these prisoners to Ironmare Station." Ante up. Footnote. Level up. New perk added. Eye for an eye. For each crippled limb you have, you do an additional 10% damage.